All right. So over the years, I have seen a lot of people that they are much, much smarter than me, much brighter. They read stuff one time and it's like committed to memory. But the thing that I have going for me is that I'm a little bit slow. I'm slower to pick up stuff than some of the really, really smart people that I know. But the thing that the thing that I get is that once I get it, I start, because I have to work at it like I do, I wind up getting it at a deeper level. And what I suggest that you do is you work for it and you work at it. Zig Ziglar used to talk about um, people that repetition is the mother of change, and I completely agree with that. That you need to repeat stuff over and over and over again to really get it. One of the worst things that happens to me from time to time is when I get an idea, I go, man, that's it. That's the one that's going to make it so that I stop doing this stupid stuff. And and then 6 months later, I'm in the middle of doing something and I go, hey, and I get this idea and I realize, oh, I've heard this before. This isn't the first time that I've heard this. And I realized that I didn't write it down and I didn't get it into the cycle of things um, that I think about. So it's important for me. And most people that I know that have actually done what I suggest that you do, they get massive benefits and they get real legitimate change. The worst thing in the world is to be a pack rat of great ideas that you don't execute on. I would prefer it if I had five great transformations and changes in my life than 40 really great ideas that I'm not executing on. Ideas aren't very valuable. They're of no value if they're not executed on. There are lots of people that have lots of great ideas on how to make $1 million, but they don't do anything with them. The idea is useless. The idea could be valuable if they executed on them. So if you have to choose between having three really great ideas, execute on just one, put them in order, sequence them, get them into your calendar, say, hey, this month I'm working on this topic, the next month I'm working on the next one. And if you do it that way, it's super beneficial when you say this month I'm working on this topic or this skill or this discipline, because there's two parts to it. One is you can do a lot of stuff for 30 days and then move on to the next thing. If it's open-ended, it's very difficult to make a commitment like I'm going to work on this for the rest of my life, and ooh, what's that? And you start working on 4, 5, 8, 10 different things and you become very, very overwhelmed and you start quitting on stuff and you feel crappy about yourself. So understand that if you're going to live for any amount of time, that you break your life, you realize, hey, you know, my life is going to be, I'm going to be doing this for a while. What's the best thing that I should be working on this month, and just work on that. A while back, I did something where I had done I had done an exercise where I picked how old I was going to live. I decided that I was going to die when I'm 86. And this would have been when I want to say I was like 50, 51, 52. And so when I did the math, I was like, okay, so I got 34 more years. And then I thought about it, because in one respect, I thought 34 more years. In one way, that sounds like a long time until I start thinking, but I'm going to be 86 at the time. And how am I going to be at that time? And I started thinking, man, I need to really take my health seriously, because I know a lot of people that the last 10 years of their life sucked. They're dragging an oxygen bottle. They got a walker. They haven't been able to play with the grandkids, ever, because they beat the crap out of their own bodies. And my point is that I started thinking about how long my life was. And I started thinking, if I just take a little better care of myself, I don't have to suffer the way that these other people have. I can be more thoughtful about it. Now, I did the reverse as well. I thought, hey, you know what? If I look at how long is that really? Okay, if I'm say I did it where I was 50 and I planned to die when I was 80, right? So that's 30 years. I'm just going to round up and down so that my math is a little easier, right? If I go, hey, I'm 50 and I'm going to die when I'm 80, that's 30 years. To get that into perspective, how far that is, if I go backward, that's 20. That's the same distance between me being 20 and now, and all of the progressions that I have made, and maybe the progressions that I should have made. Holy cow, that's a long way out there. And especially if I take better care of myself, I can really do some cool stuff. And so I started, so point being is that, in the same way that when we hear a 20-year-old get all sad and depressed about how their life isn't going the way that they thought it should be at 20 or 22 or 24, and we're like, dude, you know what? Like, you got a lot ahead of you. I don't care if you're 50. I don't care if you're 60. If you start making good changes, you've got a lot of life left to be living. Okay. Now, with respect to take a shower, right? Like I wrote up there, repetition is the real key to getting that change. It is you coming at yourself and saying, this is what I need to work on. Okay. Now, I did a video a while back on the 10 questions that I ask myself every single morning. And those 10 questions really set me up to be successful for the day. It helps me to frame the day, because I swear every day I wake up and I am, I'm just a complete blank canvas and a knucklehead, and I forget that yesterday even happened. And I go get my cup of coffee, and it isn't until I sit down and I remember, like, because of what I've got written down, that I remember how serious life is, how long and short it is, how important it is that I make today count. So these are, this is my day planner, and it's sort of a wreck. It's sort of a mess, but I don't really care, because this is my day planner and it's not yours. And generally speaking, I'm not showing it off. But I have a bunch of notes. These are the unedited notes. Some of these contain my life ambitions, my goals. I have a couple of these cards that are for like jumbo-sized recipe cards, right? And so, like this one here, I find that push-pull is super valuable and important for me, right? If I live the life that I tell myself that I ought to live, then I can go have this big life. Like, my odds of having the big life that I really want are much, much better. If I don't do the things that I agreed that I should be doing, that if I don't go for it and really like pursue the life and execute on the things that I'm supposed to be doing, if I don't do that, then you know what? I'm going to live a life of regret. I'm going to have to go get a job, and I do not want to go get a job. I'm going to have no vacations. I want to take my wife all over the place and go show her and experience the coolest things in the world. I'm going to have no impact. And at the end, I'm going to have nothing to answer like what I did with my life. 2, I'm going to be sitting on my deathbed thinking of what could have been. I'm going to be on my deathbed thinking, what if I had really tried? What if I had really given it my all? I've got here, produce the few important things with excellence, create the deliverables that bring in the paying work. I've got, be fan worthy, be honest, flavorful, consistent, vulnerable, curious, helpful, all of these characteristics that I want to, part of the reason why I do this podcast is because I believe that ideas are contagious, and I want you to experience a more curious, flavorful, enthusiastic, joyful life. I want to be surrounded with people like that. I want to meet people that come up to me. You know what I really want? I want people to come up to me and say, hey, man, I heard what you said, and it got me to thinking, and I made some changes, and now I'm more joyful. I'm more curious. I'm more enthusiastic about my life. I am... I'm not bothered by pettiness, by small things, but the things that I know are going to take years to really like get into my character. I have on the on these. The rest of these sheets, they're scraps. They're things that I tore out of steno pads. They're things that I'm like, this is a really great thought, and I'll write it down. And sometimes it's the start of a really great thought. I'll read it a bunch of times, and I'll be like, that was almost there. And I'll rewrite it, and I'll replace the sheet. There are times when I come through, and I go, yeah, you know what? I've actually internalized this one, and I'll just wad it up and throw it away. I think I threw away 2 sheets of paper today. Because I realized that I got it. And there are times when this is overwhelming. If it takes me more than say 10 minutes, 10 minutes is a very long time. If it takes me somewhere between, like there's this point where I'm reading and I'm like, this is getting to be grating. That's when I start editing extra harsh. That's when I actually take a brand new pad out and I start transcribing stuff, and I get to be a little bit more savage in my editing, because I can only work on so many things, and I can only be trying to process so many things at a time before I start like avoiding it. So I try to keep it in a place where I know that it's important. And it's not so much that I'm avoiding things. Now, one of the things that I also do is I make sure that I am only working on one thing at a time. So in my calendar, I've got like for this podcast, I'm only working on mindset for 4 weeks. It's only mindset. I'm only reading about it. I'm only thinking about it. I'm only writing about it. So by the time I get toward the end of that 4 weeks, I've got some significant thoughts on the topic. And then when I move, and one of the other things that's kind of lovely and fantastic and elegant about it is that as I'm rolling into that last week, I've got this thought about, hey, you know what? Next week I get to go do something cool. And at the same time, I'm like, I'd better really get some stuff written down, because I know that I'm running out of time, right? And it's going to be another 2 months before I'm able to revisit this topic, right? Because I'm disciplined in that I am going to start and I'm going to stop, right? So if you have these characteristics, these things, I'm only going to work on this for the next 4 weeks. You get into the rhythm of it, and you start really hammering away on things, and your life will be changing. You will start getting different outcomes. Your life will start to adjust. All right. I'm Adam Funderburg, the owner of High Caliber Coaching, and I will catch you later. Have a great, wonderful, joyful, flavorful, and all around awesome life. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.